Selassie, Rastafari, Ras Johannes here for Rastafari and Hidden Colors. And this part two of the Natural Mystic, the Rise of His Majesty Haile Selassie. I wanted to do this vid strictly on His Majesty and his meaning to the Africans or the scattered Ethiopians in the West and the diaspora. There's an interesting thing here I found in this, excuse me a second, in this article. And this is a letter, I guess, from an American black woman during the war with fascist Italy. She said this: "I pray that you will deliver yourself from crucifixion," wrote one black woman from Los Angeles, "and show the whites that they're not as civilized as they loudly assert themselves to be." Which is very true, because here was this so-called, and the view of most white people, European people, a country considered backwards, considered not really of any significance or of importance, Ethiopia. Many, even there were those, and if people put Ethiopia on a pedestal, they would try to say, well, they were blonde or brunette Hamites or some other thing, and try to do anything to dislodge that Ethiopia was a black African independent kingdom who has a history stretching back to biblical times. And as ones know, that when His Majesty spoke at the League of Nations, he said, "It's us today, it's you tomorrow." And he said it without any bitter resentment to the Gentile white nations. And one should check out iBook, Rastafari over Illuminati, where His Majesty basically told the countries, and they were mostly the European, because the United States, if you know your history, was basically isolationist. They don't want anything to do with another war in Europe. So these white European countries, when His Majesty wanted to ask for weapons and ask for things to help Ethiopia, they froze a lot of assets and things to send to His Majesty, because they did not want to see one of their fellow European countries lose to a black African country like in Ottawa. And so again, this lady who wrote that to His Majesty shows that, whites who think because they had this feeling of supremacy because they supposedly brought Christianity and this and that, where in reality they were probably more uncivilized than anyone, because as you can see, the powers of the Gentile nations were gathering, and they were ready for war. I mean, they already fought a brutal war generation, or 20 years before in World War I, and now there was another war. And because His Majesty's cries for international security were not heard, and these countries who try to claim they were the defenders of democracy and freedom didn't help Abba Janoi, they eventually, met their fate. A lot of them, like Britain, who came to His Majesty's aid at the last second, was spared the hellacious experience of a Nazi or fascist occupation and victory. Unlike the other countries like Poland, France, and others who, because they sided with fascist Italy, suffered a terrible fate. It's like it says in Psalms 2, "Why do the heathen rage against vain things? But Jah, He's the one who laughs last." Now, it's also interesting to note that when His Majesty fought, and when the war in Ethiopia was going on, many famous African Americans and even Caribbean people like J.A. Rogers and others went to Ethiopia to correspond and report on the war for many independent black papers, and like the Chicago Defender and others. And many books were coming out around this time by J.A. Rogers, like about the real facts of Ethiopia. I say that His Majesty basically awoke in a racial conscience that Garvey planted through the UNIA, through what Garvey said, even though James Morris Webb was the one that said, "Look to Africa, there will be a crowning of your black redeeming king," and that Garvey